Hello, and thank you once again for tuning into this channel where we're providing you with tips and tools to help you move with purpose. In this video, we're going to cap things off with part 3 of our shoulder mobilization flow, which is the final segment of the series. You can find the link for the first 2 videos in the description below. You can also find a link for the full shoulder sequence where I flow through it seamlessly with very little instruction. And of course, if you like these videos and you find them helpful, then please subscribe, hit the like button, and share with your friends. Thank you so much. In part 2 of this series, we focus on the anterior or front part of the shoulder and pec area. In this video, we're going to focus on the posterior or back side of the shoulder, as well as getting into that lateral line. We've once again got our hands cinched into that band, and we finished off here with the front part of the line. So we're simply just going to turn ourselves around to hit that back part of the shoulder. Now from this position here, we're going to incorporate some T-spine rotations, because of course that T-spine and rib cage is a huge part of how your shoulder sits well. I'm going to start off with having my feet positioned relatively parallel and perpendicular to this anchor point. So my torso is going to have to rotate towards the anchor point. And what I'm going to do is put a little bit of tension on that band, and I'm slowly going to start to rotate myself away from the anchor point so that I'm perpendicular to it, and then once again to face it. So my hips are going to move a little bit, but we want to keep most of that rotation in that upper back area, so that T-spine area. So I'm just going to do a few little motions like that. So once I've gotten a few of these rotations in, I can sit in this perpendicular position to the anchor point, and I can start to tension into that position a little bit more, getting a nice stretch through the back side of the shoulder. The thing to note here is the position of my shoulder. You'll notice that I don't have it rolled up and forward, choking myself or resting on my chin. So we want to make sure that we think of space between the ear and the shoulder, and we roll our shoulder down, creating space, and it comes across your chest area. So once we feel a little bit of a tension release in the back side of the shoulder, I'm going to take my backhand, I'm going to swing over top of this arm, and I'm hinging at the hips. Once again, in this position, you're going to note that my arm is still across the chest, and it doesn't slide up and choke yourself coming across there. So keep that arm into the chest area. From here, you'll notice that the palm of my hand points up towards the ceiling. So from this position, you're going to see me. We're going to start to rotate up towards that anchor point, and then again, down and away. You're going to feel a great stretch through the back side of that shoulder and along the fan of that shoulder blade. So we're going to do a few rotations here to loosen some things up. Now once we've loosened some things up with those rotations, we're going to start to fan across the entire part of that shoulder blade. So you're going to see where my hand position is relative to my hips, and that's what's important. So in this first position, you're going to notice that my hand is farther away from the hips. But then I'm going to rotate my hips towards that hand, and you're going to notice how my arm swings across my body in a seatbelt position even further. This is going to change the angle of stretch and really fan through all the fibers behind that back. So I'm moving my hips here and swaying them back and forth towards my hand and away again. Now, once we finish with that position, we're going to get into the lateral line. So I'm going to drop down onto my outside knee in a half kneeling position. My arm's going to start here, and what I'm going to do is rotate my head underneath. So we can start here. My palm is going to be facing away from me, and we want to use that outside knee down to open up this hip and create a long line through this lateral area. So from here, I'm just going to glide my hips away from the anchor point a little bit, putting a little bit more of tension and stress on that lateral line. To increase it a little bit, you can look even further under that armpit, up towards that ceiling. Make sure you're breathing here. So you can rotate this and alternate from looking up at that anchor point and rotating away from you as you glide into that stretch. And that wraps up part 3 of our shoulder mobilization sequence. Now we can put it all together into one easy flow, and I'm going to show that to you in a separate video. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found these tips helpful.